Welcome back to the XCEL U podcast, where we want to help you become the best version of yourself. We have another guest today, Chris Bockius with XCEL Performance, Health, and Wellness.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. We've been trying to get this done for I don't know how many weeks now.
Yeah, that's okay.
We finally made it happen. Really wanted to bring you on for a whole host of reasons. Chris is going to be a common contributor here on the podcast. A ton of knowledge, a ton of resources, and I really wanted to bring him on to highlight how you help people.
Yeah.
Not only here in the community, but also from an online presence. Just all the stuff that you guys do so well. But maybe if you don't mind, just introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us what XCEL Performance, Health, and Wellness is and does, and who you guys help.
Yeah, absolutely. So about 8 years ago, I moved up here. 8 or 9 years ago, I moved up here to Quincy and started when it was first choice. And, had a little...
It started
very small, 300 square feet. Within 3 months, outgrew that, and then moved to, give or take, 3,000 square feet. And then in 2 years, outgrew that. Now we're at 6,500, 7,000 square feet of space, and there are times where
that's not enough.
That's not enough, right? Yeah. Our main thing getting started, when we first opened, was to take athletes and help athletes, screen them and really create these customized programs based on science, not just say, hey, here's a workout, let's throw stuff up against the wall and see what happens. Mm-hmm. So initially we've used the functional movement screen to evaluate athletes. Yeah. Since then, we've developed our own screening processes. Our demographic has grown completely. We start training kids as young as second grade, 8 years old, and we have our oldest clients 83, 85 years old. So
that's pretty cool.
We have a lot of populations, different types of populations. And we have, the best thing about it too is we have the staff that helps with those populations. So yeah. We have personal trainers that help with our general population. We have strength coaches that help with our athletes. We have sets of interns that will come in and work with youth athletes. We have specialties from trainers that work with overhead populations, rotational athletes. So just about any demographic, we have someone that will be able to work with you and specialize in that care, I guess you can say, in that training. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I actually remember the very first time we met. Mm-hmm. It was here in this clinic.
Yep.
And just so happened that your wife and I went to school together, grew up in the same hometown. And I remember that first interaction, I walked away, and one of the things that I was really impressed with was just the knowledge on a very, and you're able to, I hate to use the words dumb it down, because that kind of has a negative connotation, but relay things on I think a very easy to know basis.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it from our standpoint, we're like advanced degrees. We're known in anatomy and things like that, but someone just off the street doesn't know what this is.
It's not their job.
And our job not only is to get, whether from a PT standpoint, personal training, strength conditioning, our job is to make people better, whether it's feel better, move better, get stronger, reduce risk of injury, whatever that may be, right? It's not their job to know all the lingo and all the words. That's our job to make them feel comfortable coming in, working out, getting better, and going like that. So exactly what you just said. It's not their job to know, it's our job to teach.
So I tried to write down the numbers and I lost track, but started at 300 square feet, outgrew that, went to 3,000 square feet. Now you're at 6,500. So I'm throwing you a bit of a curveball. Yeah. My question is, what are you doing? How did that happen? And I know it took a little bit of time. Yeah. Nothing worthwhile is easy.
No.
But what separates you guys from potentially other, I'll call them competitors here in the area? Like what's different about XCEL?
I mean, you look at what we do. Is different. We evaluate that athlete, and we not just the athlete. I guess you can say athlete. Everyone's an athlete at some point in their life, or still. So we look at them and we break them down bit by bit. Like from a standpoint from strength and conditioning, a lot of it is how much can you lift. Like, great, being strong is good, but you're only as good as your weakest link, and we want to find that weak link, and we want to expose that weak link and make that weak link your strong point. So when we break an athlete down, we're going to find exactly where their limitations are, and I'm going to work on making those limitations better, improving those limitations. And once we do that, we create these customized programs. That's the next thing we do. Like every individual we have, and we have hundreds hundreds of clients and thousands over the years. They've all received their own custom program. So every week our coaches and our trainers are making custom programs for these athletes. So when I first started, I had 7, that was in the first choice XCEL Sports Enhancement program that was ran up here. There's 7 athletes, and took that 7 and continued to grow it and developed what was that program, what I like to think was a good initial start. Develop that into something more. Strength conditioning, speed and agility, all of it. Functional movement, make that athlete better, more injury resistant, right? We can't prevent all injuries, that's the thing. But we can reduce the risk of injuries, non-contact injuries, overuse injuries, things like that. We can make that athlete, get them more prepared for their sport, so to say. Like, get their body more prepared for the imposed demands of that sport. That's
actually a really good segue, because I wrote, this is my 6th bullet point that I want to talk to you about, was I feel like we have more info and more data than we've ever had before. And I guess in my brain, logically, I would think, well, we're going to be better at, we're not going to have as many injuries. And maybe it's because we're more aware of things. Like maybe people, aren't quite as tough as they used to. I don't know what the answer is. But I feel like we have more injuries than ever. And so what are your thoughts on that? Do you see the same thing? And if you do, why are we seeing more?
Yeah, so obviously we look at the growth of youth sports, right? I mean, back when we were kids, there's very small, probably select teams, travel teams. And, now, like 7, 8 years old, we're traveling. We're going to God knows where, and we're traveling. That's baseball, that's softball, basketball, right? So open gyms for basketball in high school, it was all June, right? So 30 games in 1 month compared to 30 games over 3 or 4 months. So there's a lot of overuse, overtraining.
You told me that earlier today, and I had never thought about it from that perspective. Like, some of these kids are having, like you say, 30 games in 30 days, and their actual full-blown season is over a 3 or 4 month time period. I had never thought about it.
And then on top of that, if that kid plays multiple sports, so they play a fall sport like football or something, then they're in the weight room doing those practices, or volleyball, or they're playing summer baseball and they play basketball. So, I mean, multi-sport athletes, not saying that's bad. We want multi-sport athletes. But we also have to look at the demands that each coach is pulling from those athletes, right? So we also look at playing fields, like grass playing fields. Increase in turf, like you can tell that turf is less forgiving than grass. Feet get caught up, torn ACLs, sprained ankles, broken, whatever. But we look at it from that standpoint of contact versus non-contact injuries, right? So you can't, I mean, if someone head-on collides, takes your knee out, like ACL, like that's hard to prevent. But you planting and you not being, we'll say, strong enough in certain areas, right? So like female athletes are more prone to knee injuries, ACLs, right? They're quad dominant. So if you don't have the right muscular balance, like that ACL is going to go. But if we can train you properly, say female athlete, like we know that we need to hammer posterior chain and core strength in female athletes. So all of our female athletes have built-in ACL prevention. We're working hamstring strength, we're working glute strength, we're working core strength. So when they go to cut and they may like misstep, what could have been an ACL injury might be just a small sprain or nothing at all. Like, whoa, that could have been bad, but thank goodness I'm strong enough too.
That has, just from a physical therapy standpoint, long-lasting impacts too, because you have an ACL. I mean, you had an ACL.
I've had 2.
Yeah, you've had 2. So you're a pro. Not something you want, but that has a long-lasting impact on the quality of life that person will have too. That's actually kind of a good segue, because you guys train a lot of athletes, and you said it's something good. Like, I think everybody is an athlete to a certain extent. You're at a different level than I am. Mainly because you're younger.
By a year, maybe.
Okay. But you look younger. But you guys don't, like you said, you treat people from, or help people all the way from, I think, 8 years old all the way up to 83, 84 years old. So this isn't just for athletes. Like your height, like what most people think of an athlete. And I see that every day, but talk to that piece a little bit. Like, what a 45-year-old person comes in, they're obviously not a Division I athlete anymore. or they're not a tennis pro, let's say. But how are you guys helping? Are they wanting to lose weight? Are they wanting to get strong? Like what typically is a prototypical person that's no longer an athlete getting from
so
XCEL?
When we look at some of those, what we would consider general population. So when we say general population, we don't mean high school or college athletes, junior high athletes. Whether they have goals of, say, hey, I play golf, or I play tennis, or pickleball, whatever that may be, or I want to lose weight, or I wake up in the morning and whether it's my back hurts or got a little knee pain here or there. Like, we're going to sit down, we're going to ask what your goals are. Based on what you tell us what your goals are, we're going to screen you and we're going to evaluate you. Everything we do, we're going to evaluate how you move, because how you move is going to affect, as you know, like how your body's going to operate, how you're going to feel. So we'll create customized programs. Again, everything we do is going to be customizable for
based off of that assessment.
Based off of that assessment and those goals. So, say, 45-year-old mom wants to come in. She needs to lose weight, but also shoulder pain, right? Do you have enough strength, the ability to do high-level exercises yet to go ahead and start losing weight, right? We know that nutrition is probably the best bet for weight loss. I mean, you can fix your diet and do way better at losing weight than just exercise alone. So when we look at something along those lines, it's like your body's not even moving well enough to do high-level exercise, because guess what? You're probably going to get hurt if you try those high-level exercises. So, and then you see that, like, people walk into a big box gym, right? Walk in with good intentions and have no idea what to do or where to start. So we hop on a treadmill or cardio equipment or some of the weight machines, don't see results, and then they quit. Where we're going to come in is we're going to identify exactly where to start you and guide you through that process, get you feeling better, get you moving better. And if that's all that goal was, to where you can go work out and do things on your own, great, like that's fine, but we'll take you every step of the way in that journey that you have. Okay,
so that maybe I remember something. So there was a guy that you're treating, or I shouldn't say treating, but you did actually in this situation. He's coming downstairs with you guys to work out, and I think just to be healthy. But this guy's a busy business owner. His time is extremely limited. But you brought him up to us one day, and you said, "Hey, Joe Schmo here is having shoulder pain." And I did an assessment on him. It probably took 30 or 40 minutes just to do our own assessment. But you had already kind of done that, and the cool thing was, I didn't have to see that guy again. Because you had kind of given him a program already, a base. I think you know who I'm talking about. And, I mean, bad for business, I guess, for us, but it was great for him because he's already busy enough. Quite frankly, he would have probably struggled to come in here 2 or 3 days a week for 45 minutes to an hour and would have had a difficult time. But you gave him, I think, maybe 3 or 4 things, if that. His shoulder got better. Probably avoided some impingement type stuff in his shoulder, maybe avoided an injection, maybe avoided, who knows, surgery. That's pretty cool. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we're the only facility in this area that can really, our people can walk upstairs or downstairs 15 steps, 20 steps, and have access to the other almost immediately.
Exactly.
I can't talk, so if you're listening to this, like, there are so many, you bring up 5 people a week at a minimum, probably. And just because they're coming up here to PT potentially get screened by us doesn't mean something's always 100% wrong.
Exactly.
It's, hey, Riley, am I missing anything? And we do the same thing with you. And the last piece I want to talk about in this area before we transition is physical therapy can be great, but what I'm seeing that I didn't really anticipate with our partnership, we have somebody say post-surgical. And we've gotten them to the point where we can get them. Maybe the insurance has run out. Maybe there's no longer a medical necessity because they can do everything that they want to do. But they're still not quite back to 100%. The cool thing is we can send them to you.
Absolutely.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, the only facility probably in town and probably a wide radius that, we can co-treat Exactly. So you look at it from a general population standpoint, right? Someone finishes therapy or insurance runs out, so they're not going to pay anymore, but they got ways to go. With our expertise downstairs, our knowledge, education, we're just a bridge, basically. To help that person. Right? I mean, we look at it from the standpoint of saying we can help at probably a lot cheaper cost, from a standpoint, save that person some money and still get
just like that guy talked about. That perfect example of that.
Exactly. So, and you look at it from an athlete standpoint too. Like, if you're an athlete, and if you get hurt on the field or you get banged up in a game, whatever that may be, like, you come in downstairs, I bring you up. It's like, get checked out, especially in the summer where you may not have direct access to an athletic trainer, anything like that school may provide. Well, guess what? Like, you come in, we're going upstairs, we're going to get checked out. And but from that general population sense, like, you come downstairs, we can, exactly as you said, bridge that gap between therapy and performance and really help that individual out, continue to get stronger. And again, just like if you release someone up here, like, we can release you downstairs.
Exactly.
If your goal is to just be good enough to where we're in no more pain, that's fine. We'll help you honor those goals. Obviously, we want to continue to help you feel better and move better, but also, like, if they're going to put in the work, then we're going to help work. Right? So
makes sense. So as we start to wrap up, two last things that I can think of. I'll say the last thing first. I want to make sure you put a plug in, like, how do people get in touch with you? Whether that's phone number, email, whatever that is. But before we do that, we're recording this end of June, beginning of July of 2023. Talk to the people that are listening to this, whether that's athletes. Let's talk to the athletes, because right now, what's going on? They're in football or basketball camp, I'm assuming, something like that.
Well, I mean, you look at it, so June for high school athletes is crazy, right? School just got out, so spring seasons just got over with, say, baseball. Then those baseball players probably jump right into travel baseball, summer baseball. They may even go straight to fall, so they're probably playing baseball or softball, rather, for Illinois athletes year-round. If you play basketball, you have open gyms all of June. So basically travel basketball shuts down so they can be with their high school team. And then July picks up, travel basketball picks right up. Fall sports, say volleyball, you'll have open gyms, and that's just leagues, So these athletes are playing more than ever now. So the ability for an athlete to go ahead and withstand, like I said, those demands that are brought onto them by their sport, like, strength is going to be key. Right. It's never a bad thing to be strong, right? A strong body is a resilient body, and we're going to help you with that. But the amount of overwork that body is taking is unreal. So rest, like sleep.
So you guys have active rest days. It's not that they're sitting on a couch, but you guys have them come in and you do active rest.
We have all the tools, like pneumatic compression, recovery pumps, Mark Pro, like, we massage all that stuff, right? I mean, if you come in and you're sore and you're supposed to work out, but you look like you
got hit by a truck.
Like, you're not working out that day. We're going to put you on stuff, and we're going to help you recover and feel better. That's our main goal. We want our athletes to be healthy. And over the last 8 or 9 years, I could probably count on one hand that of the quote-unquote season-ending injuries that required surgery on one hand. Because we've done and paid so much attention to how that person moves and create these customized programs where our athletes don't really get hurt. They might get banged up, might get a little overused, but that's athletes, right? Very rarely do we see an athlete go out for the season. But when that happens, like, guess what, right? They can still come in here. We can still work other body parts. They can come upstairs, get therapy where we can sit here and co-treat, right? I mean, where an athlete gets
collaborate
far enough along to where it's like, you're going to have some visits, but guess what? You can continue to do stuff downstairs.
So, and then the last piece, I'd speak to what they should be preparing for, because we've seen an uptick in the amount of athletes that we're seeing just from the general community, because they are doing all these things. So what can they be doing? You mentioned like, okay, work a different part of the body.
Yeah.
But I think one of the challenges that sometimes kids have is because they are involved in so much, they're like, I don't have time to go and work out. So how do you guys balance that? Because that is, I think I would, if I had a kid that was that age.
Oh, yeah. Like, you're not going to go work out. Why? Because you're already doing all that with your sport.
Yeah.
Which I look at that and say, sleep and eat.
Yeah.
Like, get proper recovery. Fuel your body properly and get enough rest. So sleep is the only legal sports enhancement, quote unquote, substance there is, right?
I like that.
You get 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep, let that body recover. Let's face it, it's summer and kids ain't going to bed early and they're not waking up early, right? So they have to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, ideally. You have to eat breakfast. You have to have snacks. Supplements are key as well if you need to. So protein supplements, creatine supplements help your body and give your body the best fuel possible. So when you're running up and down the court or in the weight room or doing whatever it is you're doing, your body can keep up with you, right? Okay. Keep up with that.
Yeah.
So
no, that's great.
Sleep.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. Why don't you give yourself a plug? How do people get in touch with you guys?
So you email me, Chris at XCELperform.com, phone number 217-214-3482.
Okay. We'll put that in the show notes too.
Website, XCELperform.com. So
awesome.
We don't just, like I said, we'll evaluate, we create customized training programs for athletes. We strength conditioning, speed, agility. We do a lot of stuff for a large demographic. So
I can speak from just personal experience. My family, my family's been down to train with you, and obviously up here with us too. But makes a significant difference. It does, and if you want to be competitive, you need to be doing something like this.
That's the thing, right? You have such a competitive field now. Again, like I said, with travel and youth and things like that. Like, I didn't want to start training athletes in 2nd grade or 3rd grade, but guess what? Like,
that's what the market demands.
So, and it's not like we're lifting weights with them. We're doing coordinations, ABCs, right? Agility, balance, coordination with these athletes, getting them more patterns, more movement patterns, more exposures that they're not going to see just playing baseball. Right? That's the thing. So,
awesome. Thanks a lot, Chris, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yep.